The first few seconds after you walk through the door are some of the most behaviorally honest moments you will ever witness from your dog. There is no performance in it, no social mask, no managed impression, no version of themselves curated for the occasion. What you see in those first seconds is the unfiltered output of everything that happened while you were gone. Their attachment style, their stress level, their accumulated emotional history with you, all compressed into a single burst of behavior at the door. Most owners experience this moment purely as a greeting. It is actually a report. And today we are going through what different versions of it are actually telling you, and why paying attention to this one daily ritual can teach you more about your dog's emotional world than almost anything else they do. The explosive greeting. This is the one most people associate with a happy dog, and in many cases that interpretation is correct. The full body wag, the jumping, the vocalization, the frantic circling, the dog who appears almost overwhelmed by your return. But the explosive greeting carries more specific information than simple happiness. Research on canine reunion behavior consistently finds that the intensity of a greeting correlates with the level of stress accumulated during the separation, not simply with how much the dog likes you. The explosion at the door is, in large part, relief discharging, the nervous system resolving a period of incomplete safety all at once. This does not mean an explosive greeting indicates a problem. Some degree of stress during absence is normal and expected, and an enthusiastic greeting that settles within a minute or two once you have acknowledged them is a healthy and complete emotional cycle. What is worth paying attention to is the duration and the capacity to settle afterward. A greeting that remains frantic for many minutes, that does not de-escalate even with calm engagement from you, may indicate the stress accumulated during the absence was significant enough that the dog's nervous system is struggling to fully resolve it on its own. In these cases, the greeting is less a celebration and more a release valve for something that built up well beyond what a typical separation should produce, worth examining alongside the broader picture of how that dog tends to spend time alone. The calm, steady greeting. A dog that rises to meet you with a loose body, a moderate wag, and settles into contact relatively quickly, without explosive energy but with clear, warm acknowledgement, is often displaying one of the most behaviorally healthy versions of the door greeting available. This pattern is associated in attachment research with dogs who have a secure attachment style and who experience separation as manageable rather than acutely distressing. They missed you, the reunion matters to them, but their nervous system did not require the kind of intense activation during your absence that produces an explosive release upon your return. This greeting style is sometimes mistakenly read by owners as the dog, caring less, particularly if they are used to or hoping for a more dramatic display. The opposite is generally closer to the truth. A calm, steady greeting often reflects a dog whose emotional needs are being well met, who experiences your departures as survivable rather than threatening, and who has built enough trust in your reliable return that the absence itself does not produce a significant distress. It is worth saying directly, this is, in most cases, the greeting style you should actually want. The intensity of a greeting is not a scoreboard for love. A quieter reunion built on genuine security is often a sign of a relationship that is working better, not one that matters less. No greeting at all. This is the pattern that deserves the most attention and the one most frequently rationalized away by owners who do not want to examine it closely. A dog that does not orient toward the door, does not rise to meet you, requires you to go to them rather than the reverse. This absence of greeting behavior is, in attachment terms, a notable deviation from what a primary bond typically produces. There are several possible explanations, and distinguishing between them matters. A senior dog with reduced mobility or sensory decline may simply not register your arrival as quickly, or may find rising more physically difficult than it once was. This is a different situation, entirely from an able-bodied dog that consistently does not respond. A dog experiencing significant fatigue, illness, or pain may also show reduced greeting behavior as part of a broader pattern of reduced engagement, which connects directly to what we covered in the hidden pain video. But in an otherwise healthy dog with no physical limitation, a consistent absence of greeting behavior can indicate an attachment relationship that is not functioning at full strength. A dog whose bond with you has not developed the depth or security that produces orienting behavior toward your return. This is worth taking seriously rather than assuming the dog is simply independent or low energy by nature. Genuine canine independence still tends to include some acknowledgement of return, even if subdued. A complete absence of any orienting response is a different category of signal entirely, and one worth investigating rather than explaining away. The greeting accompanied by appeasement signals. Some dogs greet their owners with behavior that combines elements of welcome with elements of submission or anxiety. A lowered body, A tucked tail, intense lip licking, a slow and almost cautious approach rather than a confident one. This pattern often indicates the dog is uncertain about what kind of reception they are going to receive, which can develop in households with inconsistent emotional responses to the dog's behavior. Situations where the same action sometimes produces warmth and sometimes produces frustration, creating a dog who approaches reunions with genuine uncertainty about which version of their person is on the other side of the door. It can also develop in dogs who have experienced a punishment history connected to specific behaviors that occur during the owner's absence. Being scolded upon return for something that happened hours earlier, a pattern we covered extensively in the trust video. The dog has learned to associate your return with the possibility of an unpredictable negative response, and the greeting reflects that learned uncertainty rather than simple submission as a personality trait. This greeting style is worth examining honestly because it often points towards something correctable in the emotional consistency of the household, rather than something inherent to the dog. A dog who greets you this way is not telling you they are simply a nervous animal by nature. They are telling you in the clearest language available to them that the moment of your return has not always felt safe, and that is information worth acting on, rather than absorbing as a fixed trait. The greeting that includes an object. Some dogs disappear briefly upon your arrival and return holding something, a toy, occasionally an item of your own, before greeting you fully. We covered this pattern in depth in the stealing video, but it is worth revisiting specifically in the context of door greetings. This behavior often reflects redirected excitement, where the arousal of your arrival is channeled into holding an object as a way of managing the intensity of the emotional moment. It can also reflect gift-giving behavior, an affiliative gesture in which the dog offers something of value as part of the reunion itself. Either interpretation reflects a dog whose door greeting carries enough emotional weight that they have developed a specific ritual around managing or expressing it. This is generally a sign of a deeply invested, securely bonded relationship rather than a cause for concern. The object is rarely the point. The fact that your arrival reliably produces a small, repeated ceremony is the real signal worth noticing. What the greeting tells you over time. A single instance of any greeting style tells you relatively little on its own. Dogs have variable days just as people do, and a single unusually subdued or unusually frantic greeting is not, by itself, meaningful data. What matters is the pattern across time. Has your dog's greeting style changed recently, and if so, in which direction? A previously calm greeter who has become explosive may be experiencing new or increased stress during your absences. A previously enthusiastic greeter who has become subdued may be dealing with physical discomfort, illness, or a shift in the emotional security of the relationship that is worth examining. The door greeting is, in a sense, a daily, repeatable behavioral check-in, a brief window into your dog's emotional state and the health of your bond that occurs automatically, multiple times a day, without you having to create any special circumstance to observe it. Few other behaviors offer this much consistent, naturally occurring data about how your dog is actually doing. The next time you walk through your door, pay attention to more than the fact that your dog is happy to see you. Pay attention to how. That detail has been telling you something all along. Drop a comment. I read every single one. Subscribe, new video every week. See you next time.